Today's episode of Tesla, I can't say just Model S Explained anymore. I'm just going to have to say Tesla Motors Explained. We will be discussing energy consumption and towing. Now, we just returned from it was about over 5,000 mile road trip pulling this teardrop travel trailer with my Tesla Model S. It's a 90D. Now, I did tow with my old 60, but not quite recommended. Now, officially, the Model S is not supported for towing. The Model X has factory supported either 3,000 or 5,000 pound towing capacity, depending on which size wheels and rims you decide with. If you go with the 20s, it's 5,000 pounds. If you go with, I think it's a 22 or 23 inch tire and rim, it's a 3,000 pound. Now, unofficially, with the Eco Hitch from Torque Lift Central, the Model S is capable of up to 2,000 pounds towing and 200 pounds hitch capacity, which is fine for a small camper. Now, since I'm towing with a much more aerodynamic and lighter Model S instead of an X, my towing would actually be more ideal and energy efficient than it would be with the Model X. So, in terms of towing, what I'm going to be telling you is going to be the best case scenario, which is not at this time very good. So, in terms of aerodynamics, a teardrop travel trailer is about as aerodynamic as you're going to get in terms of towing a trailer. Here is my energy consumption opinion and findings. I measured, we did 20 superchargings between Wisconsin, Dells, Wisconsin, and Klamath Falls / Chiloquin / Crater Lake, Oregon. And here is my findings. Now, there were two stops where I had forgot to record the energy consumption between stops before unplugging the car. And when I unplugged the car from the supercharger, it blanks out what it was, because I was keeping my trip meters for one for the entire trip and the other one's for the lifetime of the vehicle, so I didn't want to wipe out either of those, so I was just going of energy consumption, distance, so on and so forth since last charge. Boston to Onalaska, 67.7 miles, 37.5 kilowatt hours, 554 watts per mile. You know what, I'm not going to get so detailed. I'll add the detailed numbers to the description box below, and I'll just cover my watts per mile. Onalaska to Albert Lea, 555 watts per mile. Albert Lea to Worthington, 621 watts per mile. Worthington to Mitchell, 487. Mitchell to Murdo, 523. And we had then a 541, 536, 526, another 636, 650 watts per mile. We had a 585. Butte to Missoula, I missed recording that one. Missoula to Superior was a 566. Superior to Coeur d'Alene was 524. Then we had a 470, 507, 508, and a 493. And I did not get Bend, Oregon to Crater Lake / Chiloquin / Klamath Falls. Why the variant? It was, of course, terrain, some such as South Dakota and most of Minnesota was flat terrain, very slight rolling hills, nothing too crazy for the most part, whereas Montana, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon were very hilly. Overall, the energy consumption was approximately 2 to 3 times the energy consumption than it would be normally without towing. And considering that without pulling a trailer, I can easily, at 75 miles an hour, hit and maintain 225 watts per mile with the air conditioning on or less. I've gotten less. I've gotten 200 watts per mile cruising on the freeway, and that really didn't make a difference too much with weather, and that was no drafting. What it comes down to is you got the 2 to 3 times increased energy consumption. You have now this is at 75. The maximum speed we maintained was 75. Our average was between 70 and 75. Some points in the mountains I did have to slow down considerably just due to the extremely windy roads, and pulling a trailer you need to factor that into the curves. Now slowing down did make a difference, but the biggest difference while driving I found was drafting a semi-truck, which I had to do definitely on 2 occasions because I misjudged the amount of power required. Drafting a semi-truck, I noticed approximately a 25% reduction in towing energy consumption. That's no chump change. I mean, that's a lot. Dropping speed to 55 miles per hour instead of 75 miles per hour, I ended up with approximately 15 to 30% reduction in energy consumption. Now, if you could couple drafting plus a semi, we're talking really, really good. Of course, if you can get a tailwind, I mean, that's ideal. But when does the weather ever cooperate? To get between superchargers, I found for my 90D, I would need to supercharge to 93 to 100% of the time of my battery capacity. Oh, Mike and Molly's Billy Gardell is right over there tonight. Oh, there he is! Holy crap, that's awesome. Huh. They canceled Mike and Molly because Molly got too thin. God, USA, you're getting really effed up lately. Anyways, yeah, he was right there. He's walking into the building. He's doing some sort of comedy skit tonight. Anyways, back to this. It was literally required. I mean, a drive that was only 80 miles could potentially use up 98% of my battery pack if I want to maintain a reasonable speed. Now, as much as I could get away with it, I would charge only to about 93 to 95% because that last 5% just takes forever. But please, if you can, just spend that extra couple minutes at the supercharger and get that extra few percent battery. It will turn the drive from a white knuckle experience into, okay, I gotta be cautious, but I'm fairly comfortable. Now, winter towing, just based on previous experiences. Now, I haven't towed this trailer in the winter, but just my general observations of energy consumption. Once you drop below 55 degrees and you're in conditions where you need to run the vehicle's heat, now you're potentially asking for major trouble in terms of being able to make it between superchargers at a reasonable speed. I mean, you can always drop down to 45 miles an hour or 50, but I mean, that's really going to drag on those drives. And if you're running heat, even dropping your speed down that low, you're still going to be running, you're then therefore going to be running a power-hungry heater for an extended period of time. So while you might add a little extra range, a lot of extra range, you might be sucking 90% of that extra range you just added to run the heat for an additional period of time. But I sat and We've been home from our road trip for about a week now. Let's pull over here because I'm going to start reading from my notebook. We're at Walmart. Why are you not still sitting in your seat? Okay. I worked out some of the details based on power consumption that we know of. And one other detail I want to mention is now I'm also sporting those Aero rims. Love them or hate them, they do add additional range to the vehicle. Without a trailer, my Aero rims add between 10 and 30 miles per charge to my 90D. That's a considerable amount of range. That means with my rated range of 294 miles, at least what it was when the vehicle was new, 294, let's add a minimum of 15. So just 294 plus 15 means just those rims alone technically bumped my rated range to 309 with a maximum of 324 rated technically. And like I said, I've been able to exceed EPA by anywhere from 75 to 100 watts per mile with the air conditioner running, not full blast, but enough to keep the interior comfortable. So that's something that also keep in mind when I'm talking about these consumption numbers. This is your best case scenario. And here is what I worked out based on what I could find in terms of other owners' reports and my own experience with the different trim levels of Teslas and battery packs. Now, the only one that I had to really guesstimate on was the 100D and P100D. Well, there is no 100D yet, but there will be, of course, eventually, since that was technically just released last week and no one's actually taken delivery of those yet. But since the P100s, the 100 kilowatt hour battery packs are still larger than my 90, I'm pretty much rating them about the same as what my 90 is, since, I mean, it's a larger battery pack, so it can only be more range than what this vehicle is. So I have, here's my ratings. P100D, you'd need, and P100D and the 100D, a 93 to 100% charge to get between superchargers. The P90D, 95 to 100% charge. A standard 90D, I also gave a 93 to 100% charge. A P85D, I rated at a 98 to 100% charge. An 85D, I rated at a 95 to 100%. An 85, straight single motor 85, 100%. 75D, 100%. 70D, 100%. And now we're getting in the iffy zone with the 70s. The plain 70, a 60D, and a 60, I do not recommend to tow long distance. Even in ideal conditions, a 60 and a 70, it is extremely unlikely or will be extraordinarily nerve-wracking that you would make it in between superchargers. What are my notes? Not recommended to tow long distance, or if distance between superchargers is further than approximately 80 miles. Extreme caution in cold climates of 55 degrees or colder. Now, since the Model X is less efficient, once again, I had to do a little bit of a guesstimate with the P100 and 100D for the X's. I came up with 95 to 100% for the P100D, 93 to 100% for the 100D, P90D 100%, the plain 90D 100%. I don't believe I couldn't find any reference to a P85 or an 85D or an 85 at all for the Model X, so those are not applicable. A 75D extreme caution 100%, 70D extreme caution 100%, 70, 60D, and a 60 and I'm not sure all those quite exist. Some did for a short time and then disappeared. I also did the not recommended for long distance towing, and once again, extreme caution below 55 degrees in temperatures where you need heat. And for those that aren't as familiar with the different drive units, now the reason why, even though a 90D, as an example, and a P90D are both dual motor, the P90, the performance motor cars, have a larger rear motor. Even if you have range mode turned on, which I'll get to that in a second. Even if you have range mode turned on, all the performance model cars are going to have less range than the non-performance, even if it's dual motor, even if one's asleep, because that's still a bigger motor and the mass of that motor is still turning. Gene. So just keep it simple. All non-performance cars are going to be more efficient than the performance cars. Don't worry, there's still more than enough torque and power to tow. Even with a 60, can tow like nothing else is out there. Now, that ends the notes portion. Now to talk about range mode. I have a few different opinions on range mode. I did play around a little bit. Now, my teardrop weighs approximately, and this is fully loaded, approximately 800 pounds. That's as light as I could strip that thing down to. Turn it off. No, turn it off. Thank you. Now, range mode does does more than this, but two major things. Number one, range mode reduces the power consumption of your heating and air conditioning, and it also, in ultra cold or in very cold climates below freezing, it will disable the battery pack heater. Although it will kick in at a colder temperature. Now, if you're towing, you're going to be drawing so much power out of the battery, the car's not going to have to worry about cooling or heating that battery pack. But let's focus on reduced power consumption for the heater, which is and air conditioner, which is a major bonus. And two, range mode also disables the rear drive unit if it's a dual motor equipped car. If the power consumption is stable enough and low enough. Now, I came up with it, I played around with it, and my findings were, if it's, say, less than 1,000-pound trailer, you could do range mode all the time. Now, it does kick in fairly instantly, but the idea behind it is to not overstress the single motor. All cars with dual motors, including performance cars, have a small drive unit in the front, which is what is used when you're in range mode, and the large, either a small or large unit in the back. So by only operating on one motor, even though it's putting a little more stress on a single motor, by not having that second one powered up at all, it can save a considerable amount of power. But it can also put a little extra stress on a single drive unit. Now, it's not going to be a problem if you're not towing. But towing, even though it is instantaneous, almost virtually instantaneous, when it applies power to that second motor when it is needed, it's just more of a better safe than sorry. Don't overstress either of your motors. So if you're towing something that's, say, more than 1,000 pounds, keep range mode off, and that will help the car. Plus, it keeps one of your drive units a little, spreads out the heat dissipation. Instead of pumping more power to a single drive unit, I'll spread it out between the two. But on all the way to Oregon, I had range mode off, and virtually all the way home, except on the steepest of grades, I had range mode on. And I did notice about a 5% reduction in power consumption on the way home. Same exact route, same supercharger, same everything. So that's that's my recommendation for range mode. Now, there's a little benefit of towing with the Model, another benefit of towing with the Model S over towing with the Model X. And besides being more aerodynamic, so it would use less power to begin with, the Model S will still let you use Autopilot while towing. Now, I haven't 100% confirmed this yet, but I was told now by 3 different people that the Model X will disable Autopilot if towing. And I think that is an extreme mistake on Tesla's part. So as of the time of this video recording, as far as I can see, Model X will disable towing or Autopilot while towing. I used Autopilot both directions the entire trip. In fact, it did I worked it out to about 98% of all the driving was with Autopilot on. And I actually found it worked absolutely spectacular, and in fact, it actually kept the lane better with the trailer than it does without. And sometimes the car can ping, is what I guess what I'd have to describe it, ping back and forth in the lane a little bit. And as it's trying to, focus itself and center itself, I found having the trailer kind of deadened that, it kind of absorbed some of that sway and helped keep the vehicle more stable in the center of the lane. And, then you get all the same benefits of using Autopilot. Normally, stop and go traffic. You're able to pay attention, look around a little better. Now, traffic-aware cruise control is a must while towing the trailer. The Model X, as far as I'm aware, will still let you use TACC, traffic-aware cruise control. You just won't be able to use, of course, the Autopilot. I could not see doing a cross-country drive like that, towing the trailer without Autopilot. And more than once, I came up between, there was tons of other people towing their travel trailers, RVs, motorhomes, everything. On their vacations, not with Teslas, of course, but we saw plenty. And a common factor with all of them were they were having a hard time staying in their lane. Doesn't matter if they were towing a trailer or driving the motorhome, but you could see the fatigue wandering back and forth of the fatigue. I did not experience really any fatigue whatsoever. Just being able to sit back and pay attention and just take it, just like regular use of Autopilot, it took the stress out of the drive. And once again, it worked flawlessly, virtually flawlessly. I did get a moth on the sensor. Got a little video of that coming soon. But yeah, we got a nice sized moth of all things on the front radar, and then it would randomly slam on the brakes, thinking that we were going to hit something, until I plucked the moth off. So for about 20 miles, I did have to manually drive the car, and even though I was rested and comfortable, I was still all over the road. So anyways, what I'm getting at is Autopilot worked absolutely amazing while towing the trailer, and hopefully Tesla will eventually enable Autopilot on towing a trailer. Now, rear sensors were disabled. I could tell that, but that's about it. Am I missing anything, Gene?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, of course, also make sure all your tires are properly inflated. You've got good alignment. Trailer tires are inflated. Basically, and now I've had more weight inside the vehicle than what the weight of our trailer is. So what I factor it all down to is the reduction in range is not due to weight, is mostly due to the additional drag of whatever it is you're towing. So obviously, the more drag you add, the worse your range is going to get. And just to remind you again, everything that I've told you now is based on ideal towing conditions, which I'm pretty much hitting. Model S, more aerodynamic, overall more efficient to begin with, and I'm towing a rather streamlined teardrop travel trailer. You're really not going to get more ideal than that. Plus, it was warm temperatures, so the battery pack was able to provide as much power as it could. I still personally would not attempt that trip in the wintertime. I definitely would have to drive at 55. But if you do find yourself looking like it's going to be a little short, just slow down, and if you can, find a semi to draft. Sit down, Gene. Buckle. Buckle. Yes, we are, but we're going to park closer. I just stopped over here so we can do the video. Two more things to touch on. Of course, if you have a nav-enabled vehicle, which some of the early cars did not have nav, they just had the regular Google Maps. You have something called the trip meter, which gives you an estimate of approximately how much power you are going to arrive at your destination or next supercharger with. Do not trust it while towing, because the initial calculation will be based on rated range, not based on towing range. Now, it will update the graph to show what it believes you have. If you suck down a lot of power, obviously, it will reflect that. But then even everything after that, its estimate will still be based on rated range. Just don't trust it. Don't let it give you a false sense of security. Likewise, with the NAV's notification where it tells you that, once you have enough power to make it to your next destination, like, give you an example, one stretch between superchargers, when I hit 35% power into the battery pack, it said, oh, you have more than enough to make it to your next destination. No, I still charged to 100% that time, and guess what? We arrived with 1% battery remaining. You just can't trust it when towing. The cars, the Model S and X, at this time are not accurate enough. Plus, there's so many differences in trailers and drags that they just can't account for every calculation, every situation for towing. And at this time, that is all the knowledge I can really bestow to you about towing with your Tesla vehicle. If you are interested in a device that's separate from your car, your Model S, for trailer lights, please also contact me. I am selling a custom build that I build device that plugs into your 12-volt outlet to power your lights. That's independent of the vehicle, so that way you do not have to worry about any warranty issues in terms of your electrical system, because I did confirm with a couple different service centers whom I've called anonymously that if I were to have tapped into the Model S wiring harness to power trailer lights, that would have instantaneously voided electrical system warranty for the lighting, both headlights, taillights, turn signals, running lights, all that. So despite what some people have told me that I should do, I'm sorry, I'm not going to risk it, considering repair costs for this vehicle. And despite popular belief, Tesla cannot void your warranty just by towing something with your Model S. If there is a failure, it is actually the burden of proof on Tesla to prove that the failure was directly caused by towing a trailer. Either whether the failure happened while towing or happened after you towed, it is the burden of proof on them to prove that the failure was directly related to towing. Not yet, Gene.
Are you done?
Almost. Not if you keep interrupting me.
One more?
Shh.
1 minute.
Yes. Also, one big defense, I mean, the only thing that could really have an issue would be the drive units due to towing. And even then, the Model S and the Model X use the same drive units. I have verified with certain part numbers and certain inside sources with the factory. Plus, I mean, it'd be absolutely insane, or ludicrous, pun intended, if Tesla were to manufacture a whole set of drive units for the Model X. The Model 3 will be using different drive units, so I cannot comment on towing with that quite yet. But considering the smaller battery pack, so on and so forth, it's going to be an interesting one. But either way, now the Model X is fully factory supported, capable for towing, and the Model S technically isn't. But since they use the same drive units, if Tesla, and here's my thinking, if Tesla were to say towing caused the drive unit to fail, the response back would be, well, if these units can't handle towing, why are you using these same units in the Model X? Then you're knowingly put substandard parts in a Model X. I'm not saying they're substandard, I'm just saying. So in terms of not allowing the Model S to tow, I think it's a very poor decision on Tesla's part. They should come right out and allow it. They allowed it on the Roadster and the Model X. And once again, the Model S and the Model X share pretty much all the same mechanical components. It's just body style, for the most part, that's different. And that is all. I know this has been a long video, but if you are interested in towing with your Tesla, I hope I was able to help you in some manner or form. And just remember, if you need to make the distance, slow down and draft a semi. Traffic aware cruise control / autopilot are your friends if you have them available, especially with drafting. Set your distance to 7. The furthest distance the car can keep away, because remember, you're towing something that's going to add additional stopping time in case there's an emergency, and it should be set at the furthest distance anyways when you're on traffic aware cruise control or autopilot. I don't care what you say, that extra distance is very important to have in terms of safety, and that helps you keep an accurately maintained speed with whatever vehicle you're drafting. It helps you also continue to use less power. I hope this helped. Please like and subscribe. Much appreciated. And if you are interested in purchasing a Tesla Model S, Model X, please consider using my referral code in the description box below. And that'll get you, at least at this time, a $1,000 discount off the purchase of a Tesla Model S or Model X, and that also helps me continue to make videos for you guys. Enjoy, have a great weekend, happy towing, happy traveling, happy camping, happy vacationing, happy everything, and most of all, enjoy driving the most awesome production cars in the world. Smile, cheese.